What up, y'all? It's Golden Spaces, an Odyssey original podcast. I'm going to do my best to temper my tone and my volume because I am still away post Thanksgiving in my family's home. But it's your girl, Nat, and I'm here with Justin. And yeah, this is Golden Spaces, an Odyssey original podcast. I truly have no desire to record a podcast right now. Like the level of annoyance that I feel right now is beyond high. And let me just say this as the disclaimer, because I'm going to be critical of the team today. I assume Justin will on some level too. I don't know, but because I'm not in his head. But just because I'm critical of the team, let me just say a few things at the outset, and some of it will be said again later. Do I think they can still contend and win a championship? Yes, I do. The fact that I'm critical of them does not mean I want y'all in my mentions talking about they're pathetic, they're trash, they're this. Like, I don't know what you're expecting from me, but I'm not going to engage with that. And I'm often going to mute you. So stop doing it. Like, I don't talk about the team in that way. Like, I can criticize without calling them names and stuff like that. But like that negative energy, I don't welcome it. And it's not just about the Warriors. I don't welcome negative energy like that in my life. So please stay out of my mentions with it. It annoys me. And if you wonder why I don't reply to you at times, you're likely muted or I'm just ignoring you. Like that shit is annoying. Okay.
Facts. Same here.
Now,
literally, it's just the toxicity in the on Twitter with the fan base has gotten way out of hand. So
yeah, y'all are hella annoying. Okay. Now, to the positive people and the people who just want to like talk about what happened, that's what we're about to do. And so we appreciate y'all. Thank you for supporting us. Let's get into it. It's so much, Justin, to talk about today because me and you, we have some disagreements too on Twitter. So we got a lot to talk about. Okay. But let's start with this damn game. Let's start this game. Another game that the Warriors should have won. I got to tell you, I didn't care that much about the play-in. I truly have never cared about it. People think that, not the play-in, the in-season tournament. Mm-hmm. Yeah. People think I'm saying that because the Warriors, no, I truly never cared about it. Like the Kings are a good team. So I'm really not trying to demean them. But yay, feel good. You finally beat the Warriors. Go compete in this tourney. You know, like the tournament, again, sure, it would be great, I suppose, to give them some early competition, something to be competitive about and whatever. But at the end of the day, the Warriors are trying to win a championship. That's the goal. And I'm sure the in-season tourney maybe in time will grow with prestige, but you don't have the Nuggets in it. The Warriors aren't in it. And I know the Celtics had to have a certain point differential to make it this evening. They did pull that off, but they had to do that. The Suns are a wild card. So it's like a lot of the teams who we think will be there at the end. I don't know if the Lakers will or won't, but they are 4-0 and just lost by 44 points the other night. So how much you want to read into the in-season tournament is up to you. It definitely has made some of the games exciting. To me, the Warriors gave up the in-season tournament when they sat Steph when he got injured. And I get it that he was injured, but one of the games that he was injured for that he didn't play was an in-season tournament game. So once they sat him and they lost that, to me, I just assumed they were going to be out, So because I felt like there's not that many games to qualify. And like, I just don't feel like you can risk losing one, and so here they are. So that's how I feel about that. Now, about this game. They were up by 24 at one point, right, Justin? Is that correct? 24 points?
That is correct.
Now, leads ebb and flow, and they're not really safe. I didn't expect it to remain that high. I really didn't. I really didn't think that they could beat the Kings by 12. I know that they have blown them out before in the past and all those things. I didn't think it was going to happen, though. I just didn't because the Kings want to make the in-season tournament. They keep losing to the Warriors. So I just had a feeling it was going to be a competitive game. But that being said, I thought they would at least win the game, and they should have won the game, and they did not. And it's annoying because they had a 24-point lead. It's annoying because of how much they shot themselves in the foot. You know, you get a night where Wiggs is playing well. You get a night where De'Aaron Fox is missing all these damn free throws. That's not going to happen again. Excuse me. He also shouldn't have had that many like free throws or any of them. Now, some of it was the fouls, like the refs. The refs were really bad tonight, and they lost control of the game. So there were 50 plus fouls called in this game?
Yep, something like that.
Nasty business. But in general, between the fouling and then the turnovers, and I want to talk about Steph's turnovers for a second because, you know, there are people like, oh, Steph has had a lot of turnovers this season, and he has to get them down because he normally averages about 3 for the season. So I'm pretty sure he's above that right now. But the one thing I want to say about Steph, and again, I'm not trying to excuse them because some of them you do have to be smarter. Like that one that came right before Draymond, like he was being trapped. So he was trying to pass it out. But it was just too unsafe of a pass. But it's not just on him. Like he gets trapped and doubled, and his teammates are not coming to him to help. Like when that's happening, right? If he's going to pass it out, you need to make sure you're getting yourself in a position so the Kings player can't like jump in and steal the ball, you know? So it's like, I just need people to remember that Steph is usually many of his turnovers, he's being doubled, he's being trapped, has multiple bodies on him. Draymond Green's turnover right there was just careless. and there was no reason for it. There were not multiple bodies on him.
Mm-hmm.
It was just being rushed and it was being careless. And I'm not here to compare like turnovers to turnovers, but I'm just saying Steph has more justification for his turnovers, even though they're unacceptable, than collectively as a team, the amount of turnovers they have. Either way, it's not okay because the Kings are scoring off those turnovers. Other teams are scoring off those turnovers. And there's nothing you can say for them losing this game tonight. There were just, it was sloppy play by the starters at the end. Maybe they were tired. I don't know what it was. You know, some of those shots stopped falling, you know, that they were making early. Losing GP2 more so than Chris Paul, I thought was like a very big blow to them in the game. And then Kerr is insane. He's insane. Like we were just listening to Kerr's presser right before we started recording, y'all. I'm sorry. I'm just realizing now I've been rambling for a really long time. So I apologize, Justin. I also haven't been here for a while, y'all. So bear with me. We were listening to Steve Kerr, right before this.
Yeah.
And his justification, his reasoning, his rationale for why he took Moses Moody out the game, who shot perfectly tonight from the field. Is that correct?
Yep. Pretty sure all
were they all threes?
No, he had a dunk.
Oh, that's right. He did have a dunk. And then he had 2 shots that were waved off that he also made. Okay. And his answer for why he took him out was because they had to get Wiggins back in the game. Okay. There are other players you could have subbed him out for. I agree with you, Justin, that it should have been Loon. But even if you want to be like, okay, it's Klay. I mean, really the answer is Loon. So there is no other explanation. But the answer of that you wanted it to be the vets is ridiculous to me because this is what I'm saying. And this is part of the crux of our debate that we'll get to later, but that you and I were having. My issue with Steve Kerr and the whole Klay conversation is not that I think Klay should be benched, because I don't think that. But I think different guys are playing well on different nights, right? Like we've talked about the fact that the number 2 is like not really one person. It's Klay one night, it's Wiggs one night, it's Dre one night, it's whatever, a combination. They're like 2 A, B, and C, right? But then there's nights that like a night like this, when like Moody has it going and like every shot is falling. Like if one of your starters, and Klay wasn't bad tonight, so I'm not suggesting that, but if one of your veterans doesn't have it going, to me, it should be okay. to say, I'm going to go and ride the hot hand of this guy who was playing well tonight. And that should be okay. The only person to me that it's never really okay to not play is Steph and probably Draymond. Probably those two. Steph definitely, and I think probably Draymond. Maybe Wiggs, I'm not sure. For defensive purposes, not really because of his offense. But he's gone several nights without playing Wiggs and benching him if Kuminga had it going. So it's like, if you can do that and say, well, I'm going to put Kuminga in for Andrew, mm-hmm. I don't know why that can't be done to Klay. So that we'll get to the Klay discussion, but you had Loon right there and you could have gone small. So to me, you had options. Andrew was playing well tonight and you wanted him for defense. So I agree. Andrew should have came back in, but to me, you had all alternatives for who you should have subbed out. But I think everybody's in agreement that Moody should not have come out the game, and your answer is a dumbass answer. It's dumb. All right, I'm going to stop now because I've been going on for a long time and I apologize.
No, you're good. I completely agree. I would have took Loon out. Like, the Kings aren't a huge team, right? They play Sabonis and they play 4 guards.
He only had 4 rebounds tonight too, because someone said like, "Oh, Loon was playing well and we would have got killed on the glass." I'm like, he had 4 rebounds. Klay had like 10 or something like that. Yeah. So it wasn't what.
I mean, it's just time and situation. Like, Looney didn't play bad, I don't think. It's just that point in the game, it made more sense to go with more offense around Steph, not just screening, because they were just trapping him anyway. So you need 4 guys who can make a play with the ball in their hands.
Right.
We're trapping Steph 30
and
feet.
Also give him some space.
Give him space. If you put, for some reason, Kerr is allergic to playing both Klay and Moody at the same time, despite those two being his only 2 wings that can consistently hit threes, right? Wiggins is finding his rhythm back again, but Moody and Klay are shooters, right? Wiggins is a slasher who can hit an open shot, but he's not a shooter, and teams don't guard him as a shooter, but they guard Klay and Moody like it, right? So it just makes more sense to play both of your shooters at the same time. And like we were just saying, like, Loon, like, they didn't really need Loon on the glass as much today, right? Like, he didn't have to have a 20 rebound game for him to win this game. He plays solid basketball, but foot speed isn't really there. Like, they're playing, like I said, Sabonis and 4 guards. Malik Monk is getting to the rim at will. They spreading out. They got Fosenko in there who's just knocking down threes. You need mobility on the court. You need wings and guards with athleticism on the court to close out on these players, or else they're just going to get open shots. And then obviously on the offensive end, he was red hot. Like, even the 2 shots that didn't count, he switched them. Like, so clearly he was just feeling his shot. Like,
right.
So I'm sure everybody else on the court felt that energy as well. So he would have been guarded like he was red hot, which opens the floor for everybody else. And if they don't guard him that way, he's knocking the shot down. So this is a clear error from Steve, which there's been plenty of those this season so far. I think, I'm just talking about this season, but going with JK early in the game, sure, give him his early run. Wasn't great this game.
Wasn't playing well.
Could have pulled him early for Moody.
Much earlier, yes.
Moody didn't play into the second quarter, like deep into the second quarter. Like, he's been one of your best players all season. I just don't understand that. He can play multiple positions, so it's not even a positional thing. Just literally, this guy, just something about Moody, he just doesn't want to lean into right now. And it's costing this team possessions. It's costing this team quarters, which is ultimately costing this team games. And yeah, like, that's just super big error. I mean, I think overall for the game, I think
third quarter was the killer, and third quarter is supposed to be their quarter. The third quarter was
a killer. The refs did not help them at all that quarter. They didn't play well, but at the same time, it was a free throw fest that entire quarter. It was just a bad watch there. And then I think ultimately Steph and Dre just did not play well in the fourth quarter. Dre got that technical, which cascaded, it kind of fed into the Kings' run, and then Steph with the turnovers and not making shots and stuff like that. So it happens. It is what it is. Yeah, they were 54 fouls called in that game. I think it was 72 free throws or something like that taken. Just nasty. Who wants to watch that? Nobody. But yeah, meltdown, late game meltdown.
Just sloppiness and carelessness. And I, the rope, because I don't like the word leash, but like Dre has none with me. None. Okay. None. Um, so it's like you and I were tweeting back and forth during the game because I was annoyed. I was annoyed by his actions. It's like, okay, yeah. First of all, I agreed with Kerr when he was like, get off the floor and get back and run back. Like, get off the damn floor, Draymond. Like, whether people think you flopped or not, like, I don't believe you're that hurt. And like now they're playing 4 and 5. Like, get back. You laying on the floor, staying down there. So from that point, I got annoyed. I was like, get off the fucking floor. Like, what are you doing? So when I saw like Kerr was like, get up and tell him to get back, I was happy about that. Right. So that like annoyed me. Then, you know, like you get upset, you're already now annoyed because like you didn't get the call. So now you're being extra and you're going at the ref. And you already know how they do. You already see this is a game where mad fouls and things are being called. So you pick up a tech as though y'all can afford to be giving away points, right? We know there's something to be playing for, right? So you give up the tech. Then you give up points. Then you do another stupid foul. And yes, at that point, it didn't result in I think it was on Monk, I can't remember who. It didn't result at that moment in free throws, but you're just leading to the foul total that ultimately will put them over the limit.
He also
Right?
got taken out of the game.
Yes. It's just like I'm sorry, y'all. Like, you're just not going to convince me. This guy, like, I'm just over him. It just doesn't make sense, the things that you do to like hurt the team. Like, y'all just don't have the same margin of error to do this shit. You don't.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. They play as if they can just turn it on and blow a team out in a matter of 3 minutes, 4 minutes, like they used to be able to. And it's like, no, you need to put together 48 minutes of sound basketball. And this is
Yeah.
part of the reason why they brought CP3 in. It wasn't just to replace Jordan. It was because these dudes are sometimes too reckless at this point, right? Like y'all got you're not in your prime anymore. Like you're at the end of your primes, right? You're not like you said, the margin of error is not the same. You have to play solid basketball consistently. And this is why they went 7 with the Kings in the playoffs last year.
Right.
Doing dumb stuff. When they played serious in game 7 and didn't turn the ball over and played solid defense, didn't have all these stupid mistakes, they beat them by 20. Like they were beating them by 20 tonight when they were doing those things. Then they started just doing anything, throwing the ball away, fouling for no reason, trying to show up the refs. The refs definitely took the game over, but at the same time, you fed into it and then made it even worse. Right. So now the Kings got all momentum at home. They got randoms coming in the game, hitting threes. I mean, Fosenko's a shooter, but
And how many games below 500 are the Warriors right now?
2, I believe. They're 8-10. Would have been a perfect opportunity to take, I mean, obviously they lost CP3 and Gary. Hopefully they're not missing time extended, but this was the first game, everybody back all healthy again and playing. And it was looking like, okay, this is what they're supposed to look like. And then it was just same old Warriors.
I mean, CP was limping pretty badly, like even when they showed him during the commercial break. And Gary was like, didn't he punch something? Wasn't that the reporting? I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and it's a calf. So, in general, with calves, you always want to be careful. So, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, I think that the team would be fine without those 2 players in particular, even though Gary's a game changer, like he's a dynamic player. But what he does, I think, can be supplemented by Moses Moody. And I think, CP3, him being out doesn't hurt too much. Guys just got to play 48 minutes of smart basketball. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't have to be playoff intensity and playoff focus. But some of the stuff they do is just like, what are we doing? Like,
Yeah, I'm mad aggravated.
Some of the turnovers, like, what are we doing? It's really ridiculous. Man.
People the other day were arguing with me because I said, I said something, I don't remember how I phrased it or what, but I basically said like, the Warriors don't care about the play-in tournament like that. The goal is, a championship. And I got so much pushback. Like, I don't know about that because they said this and they said that. I said, that's all nice. But I said, they don't care about it like the way they care about trying to win a championship. Now, that doesn't mean that they will, but I'm just saying, I was just like, the injury that Steph had earlier in the season, if that would have occurred during the playoffs or the finals, he's playing.
Mm-hmm.
They're not sitting him. I said, Draymond, granted, maybe he didn't know that he was going to be suspended for 5 games, but like, I think I have to. I don't even know. I don't even know with him, but I want to believe that if it was the finals, that he wouldn't choke Rudy Gobert like that because that you're right. So that's what I'm just saying. It's just like some of the things that they do. It's not so much that I think when I say they don't care, I don't mean that they're not interested in playing in it and doing it. But what I mean, it's not the same level of like importance to them that like a championship is. But I know that they were trying to use it as a way to sort of like have something to, go for and stuff like that. Steph mentioned him and CP talked about it. And, like Gary, like they got the check-in today and knew like they needed to win by 12. And they seemed really focused early in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if it was just like legs, if they were tired. Like I said, losing Gary was like a big blow because that's like part of their defense. And he could have helped to probably get some stops, some takeaways so they could get some fast breaks and stuff like that, and he was helping a lot with like his rebounds and athleticism and stuff tonight. Mm-hmm. So definitely miss. But I don't know. I truly, I don't get it. I don't get it, but it's annoying to watch. I believe this team is better as in talent than last year's team. Mm-hmm. You said something interesting on the timeline fairly recently, but you talked about the fact that it's not as much high-end talent, but they have more talent in terms of like how many people can actually play. And so balancing that is like hard or something like that for Steve Kerr. And again, I'm paraphrasing.
It's hard for him. It shouldn't be that hard, but it's hard for him apparently.
I've been telling you for years this man is mid, and y'all been trying to tell me he's a good coach. I've been telling y'all. He's a people manager, apparently. That's what I'm told. I guess if that's the skill that you value the most in coaching, then hey. But when it comes to X's and O's, managing lineups, like this, he has not demonstrated that he's good at any of this ever. In the entire time he has been here, he has not okay. When?
I mean, they won 4 championships. They won 4.
But they won 4 championships in spite of him. They won it because they were uber talented. Yes, absolutely. That is why. The man put Festus Ezeli on the court in Game 7 of 2016.
I mean, no one is without flaws. Right. They lost that.
No. No one is without flaws, but he repeats the same things over and over. Like when Pop made the mistake of not having Tim Duncan on the floor. One, he owned it and said he would never do something like that again, and he didn't. But this man, he does the same fucking thing over and over and over again. They're all in the same vein, and y'all sit up here and defend it. I'm not defending it. I refuse to. He is good at best. And I've been saying that. And he is so fucking lucky that he's had Steph Curry. He is, because it makes people believe he is better than he is. He could never have the success that Eric Spoelstra had ever. Like, Eric Spoelstra would probably be undefeated if he was the coach this whole time. Like, I believe they win in 2016. I believe in other years, I believe that year that was that without Klay, I believe they go further. I believe all this, we're not chasing wins. None of that bullshit happens.
Could be.
And what's the guy he wanted to keep on the floor because he's good at managing them, getting things in order. What did he say? Who was that guy 2 years ago? It just drove me crazy. The one who they finally, yes, Brad Wanamaker. Remember him? He was his obsession with Brad Wanamaker, his obsession with evil Steph, his now apparent obsession with Corey Joseph. Like his obsession with the one who shall not be named from last year, who has charges out there against him. This man is an insane person. He is not a rational person, and y'all defend it, and I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it.
He's not a rational person. Yeah, I'm not in the defending Kerr mood right now. So
it's indefensible. It's indefensible. You're just finally starting to come to me, but you see, it takes you longer to get there because it always comes off like I'm being like irrational or whatever it is. And I'm fine. I'll take that. But like you're eventually, by the end of this, and by the end of this, I don't mean this season. I just mean by the end of all of this, you're going to be there with me, Justin, because there's going to be more bullshit that comes. This is not that. There's going to be more.
He could be a little washed. I'm not going to lie.
He was always washed.
No, I don't think so. But
he absolutely was. Of course he was. He just had better assistants to cover, and he had Steph Curry.
I mean, that's most Hall of Fame coaches, though. They have all-time great player, good coaching staff.
Yes, but somehow Eric
this coach is like Spo, who have made more with less talent and stuff like that. That's cool. But
it's better than cool because
Spo's an anomaly, though. Like,
I don't think he is. I just think he's actually what a really good coach is. That's all. Mike Malone is a really good coach too.
He's Jokic,
but he was really good before that.
He was good. He was okay before that. But I mean, people talk about Mike too, like how he only plays his starters all together and then plays all bench lineups and they get murdered, and then Jokic comes in and saves the day. You know what I mean? Like,
is that now? Because their bench last year was really good.
Their bench was terrible last year in the regular season.
Okay.
It was just, their starters they're like the best starters. So,
I would take
him dunking for 20 years.
I would take White Mike.
Who's White Mike? Oh, White Mike. You got the New York bias. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah,
Pop is actually a good coach too. I do understand that he hits him dunking, but these are people who I know are actual good coaches.
Yeah, I mean,
they've demonstrated the ability to still be competitive and do less with more. Steve Kerr, it's always, if I don't have this, and this, then we're just going to suck. That is not good to me. That is not. His inadaptability, I don't even know if that's a word, makes him, to me, not good.
This season, I can't argue this. He's been.
If you need it to be perfect for you to like do anything, it's like, come on, bro. What is your problem? What is your fucking problem?
Yeah.
Mediocre.
He ain't been on it this season.
Not just this season. I won't let you do that. Not just this season.
He was on in 2022. I'll give him that 2022 for sure. He had good assistants, but he was on in 2022 for sure. I give him that.
Conveniently when the assistants were there. By the way, this is a man who did not believe that they could beat the Celtics, but whatever.
Well,
this is a man who doesn't even believe in his own star player. He doesn't think that he can ever be in the conversation of best player. And you're telling me this is a good coach. He doesn't even recognize, and that's not me exaggerating. He doesn't recognize the player that he has. Literally, we know that. Like when asked about Steph, he said no, he can't be in the conversation with players like Kevin Durant and Kawhi. This is what he said.
Yes, it.
Now I understand the philosophical differences. I do. But he coaches Stephen Curry. He coaches him, sees him up close, and still that's his assessment. Bro, that's not a good coach. You're never convincing me. He's a fucking clown.
Hey. Like I said, I ain't in this is encouraging right now.
That's like a guidance counselor who tells you, you can't go to this college. You can't do this. You don't have the potential for that. That's what he is. I don't think we'd be very good if we ran a lot of pick and roll. Like, this man says so many stupid things that are not accurate. Just like he tried to gaslight us on Moses Moody. I really need to understand, what is it in the brain of people who defend him? And I know you're not in the defending mood right now, but tell me, because you're definitely a smarter basketball mind than me. I can see that. I know that. But these are not rational things. He does not say rational things. In fact, he says stupid things. And I'm trying my hardest because it's quite offensive to be someone who has not played and then say, like, a person who's played professionally does stupid things and says stupid things. But he does. He actually says stupid things.
Yeah, he's a master of gaslighting. He's always we'll take the blame. This is on me. Yada yada yada. But you don't really do anything differently when the situation calls for it. Yeah, indefensible. This year, this game.
I always love how the big adjustment in 2016 was just play your 5 best players.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh, someone had the idea, like, what if we bring Andre? You know, the fact that 1, he needed someone to tell him that, but 2, it's like, just play your 5 best guys. Like, what are we doing, man? Like, I'm sorry, it's from me working in corporate America, but I have a complex with like mediocre men and being told that they are greater than they are. He's not even great. He's not. I will never give him more than good. He's good sometimes. Sporadically good.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's going to be all those goofies out there who's like, they had a 24-point lead and this and that. You're blaming the coach. I'm not solely blaming the coach because I started with Draymond and Steph. But I'm just saying that Moses Moody was right there. He was right there.
Yeah, big reason they lost his lead is definitely Steve's fault. But he wasn't the only person at fault. But he definitely was not faultless.
No, he deserves a large portion of the blame.
For sure. Play your best players, dude.
And even at the times when he chose to rest players and things like that, like, you see the lead dwindling and you see it going down, you do things to stop the run.
Mm-hmm.
You make adjustments to change that.
Yeah. I will say, I mean, like, he could have called a timeout, but he didn't have many more because of Gary injury.
No, I definitely get that.
He definitely could have did other things too.
I definitely get that. I didn't think that he should have used the challenge on Steph. I know I was just online the other day saying, like, he never, like, goes for Steph. And I get why he did it, but it just, like, I knew that wasn't being overturned. I thought that was ridiculous because it's like, even if you want to say Steph kicked out, he didn't make contact with the person. So, like, there was no foul. Like,
Right.
You're penalizing him for a foul that did not occur, right? But what I did see, to me, was that the defender did not give him room to land. I saw that. I don't understand why that's okay. Like, regardless of whether he kicked out his foot, he definitely was still in his landing space.
Yes. And I want to say they called the foul because Steph landed on him and then Fosenko tried to, like, move, but Steph's weight was on his foot. So he clipped himself up and just fell over. and they call a foul on Steph. It's like the dude fell over because he's under Steph's foot. How is that not a foul on him? So I'm saying, the refs were just absolutely horrible. They took away 6 points from the Warriors on Moses Moody.
Just the ridiculousness of like Steph going up and like having 3 bodies around him, and y'all saying no one fouled him. Like, so he just continues.
No one fouled him, but he fouled someone else. He fouled them.
I mean, it's just insanity.
Like, come on, man. But yeah, they can't feed into that. I mean, I think the Dario at the 5 thing needs to end. That's a Kerr thing. It's a layup line when he's at the 5. You knew that coming into the season.
Right.
Play him next to Draymond. Right. I think that's a very clear, easy thing to do. Or just play Trace Jackson Davis. Right. He didn't have a good game his last game, but you can keep going to him and see what he gives you. He played well against the Kings last time he played against them. So why not go to him again? Right.
How many times I have to tell you that?
Moses Moody should have been playing way more. He should play in every single quarter of the game. He should not start his minutes in the second quarter after 12 minutes of basketball have passed. Just doesn't make a ton of sense to me. Yeah. So yeah, lineups and rotations have been just bad for Steve.
Is there anything else we need to say about this game? Shout out to Andrew Wiggins. They continue to waste your good games, but I think he's mostly back. I know like the last game wasn't like great. And again, I don't need Wiggs to put up like the output that he did tonight for me to consider it a good game, but he's just being aggressive. He's, like even on that last possession when he defended Monk, I thought it was solid defense. Monk just hit an incredibly tough shot.
Yeah, he had some like lucky. We have all the momentum. We're at home. Type of shot.
Mm-hmm.
Wiggins was pretty good. I think both Wiggins and Klay were fine. Like Wiggins probably had a definitely a better game. He had 29 points, 10 rebounds. Klay had 20 points and 9 rebounds. I mean, that's the type of stuff they need from them too.
Yeah, and I wasn't even suggesting that Klay wasn't bad. It's just that like I feel like Klay has had moments this season where Wiggins has had much less. So
it's crazy. It's crazy because the other Wiggins game like this, they lose in heartbreak fashion pretty much. Not at the buzzer, but like
yeah, when he hit that 3, they should have won. And then but oh no, we want to be cute and not follow up to another decision by Kerr, the coach who y'all try to tell me is good. And he will do it again. That's the thing. He will do that again. He will do that again this season, and he will continue to do it because he does not believe in fouling up 3. This is the shit I'm talking about.
Little dumb stuff like that, yeah.
Little dumb stuff. Okay.
But
wait till it costs them a playoff game, or even worse.
Yeah, I mean, I think overall Wiggins and Klay were good. Moody was good, right? Those 3 wings. Gary was good. All their wings were good, and they looked amazing for a majority of this game. Steph was bad in the 4th. Draymond was bad in the 4th. Looney played too much. Dario at the 5, not a good idea. Kuminga wasn't good. CP3 and Gary are pretty fragile, as we already knew. We knew it was coming at some point in the season. Hopefully they're not out too long. And yeah.
His obsession with vets is stupid.
It is. Specifically for this iteration of the Warriors, right? They need the youth. They need the athleticism. And at this point, there's no vet that's coming in. Like Chris Paul is who he is, right? He's not getting better, right? He's trying to maintain what he already is right now and not decline. So he's not drastically changing your ceiling. He's more of a floor raiser. The guys who change your ceiling are the, Moody's, the Kumingas, those type of players. I mean, Wiggins is in his peak, his prime right now. So he should be consistently playing near this level, not quite like this 30 and 10, but like getting close to that, 20 and playing great defense, stuff like that. But the Moody's and the Kumingas and those type of players, the younger players with that pop, those are the players that's going to take your team over the top. You're not going to get consistently elite play from your vets because they're older. Like they're going to be good sometimes. They're going to be old sometimes. Like This is what it is. So, and then you're going to need your young players at the end of the season. So, taking Moody out of situations like this where he can learn in real time while he's playing well, can't help your team. It doesn't help your team at all. But if you play him in those moments, he plays well. He gets that confidence in these high stakes moments against good teams. He learns on the fly against these good teams. Then later on, when you may need him in a playoff game, or you may need him late in the season, whatever the case may be, he's ready. He understands what he needs to do. He's not out there making young player mistakes. But instead, he gets taken out the game after hitting 4 shots in a row. But yeah, that's all I got for this game.
One note though, which I think is important, is Kuminga wasn't good tonight, but in general, you've been talking about the fact that he's misused.
Mm-hmm. Still think so. He definitely was this game.
Do you want to explain that to people?
Yeah, so I think this is another Kerr error right here. That second unit lineup early in the season was pretty good because they just caused a lot of turnovers and got out in transition. But in the half court, it's a pretty nasty lineup. It's not Steph. It's CP3, Moody, Kuminga, Gary, and Dario. The adjustment that Steve made was just switching Moody out for Klay, which doesn't really change much because you still have the spacing issues with JK and Gary. And the issue is CP3 and Dario run their pick and roll. Dario has no scoring gravity. So, he doesn't pull people away from the rim, and he doesn't pull people towards the rim. So he doesn't create a shot for Chris Paul. Chris Paul doesn't get open in this situation. They just switch it, and Chris Paul can't create separation. Meanwhile, JK and Gary are just spaced out in the corners as if they're knockdown corner shooters when they're not. So the ball gets passed to them, and they either hesitate to shoot it and then dribble into traffic because guys are just waiting for them to drive because they know they're not shooters, or they shoot it and miss. Meanwhile, either Klay or Moody, whoever that spacer is, just never gets open because whoever is on them just stays on them because they know they don't have to help anywhere because no one else can create an advantage. It's just bad. Now, if you do this and just say, okay, let's put Dario in the corner instead of JK and let's JK run the screen and roll, maybe he can get JK going downhill and get some finishes at the basket, or he can draw some fouls, or he can roll to the basket and pull multiple guys with him, and CP3 can finally get an open mid-range. I don't know. Maybe you should not play Gary in that lineup altogether and just play Klay and Moody there. So you have 2 spacers, well, 3 if you have Dario spacing. So you have a pick and roll with JK and Chris Paul and 3 legit spacers. That makes more sense than pick and roll with CP3 and Dario where nobody gets open and then only 1 spacer. So that's what I think they should
More
do.
coaching.
That's what I think they should do. And then it opens up more opportunity for Gary to play with Steph, which obviously is a very electric duo. Gary is a playmaker on defense. Steph is obviously a playmaker on offense, especially when you put them next to Draymond, who connects all these plays and gets them out in transition, all type of stuff. They blitz teams when it's those 3 on the court at the same time. But GP2 has been married to CP3 in the rotation for some reason. So thanks, Steve.
People, you don't understand how many this season, some started last season. It actually started in the summer with Team USA. And people were like, man, I get now what Warriors fans were saying. You know how many tweets I got? Nah, I'm sorry. I see. Y'all starting to see the light? Mm-hmm. All right. We're going to leave this. I have nothing else to say about this game. You have nothing else to say about this game. But I don't love it when me and Justin fight. So even though we never let it get too bad, but we need to hash out our differences here so that people can see that we're good and come to an understanding. What are you laughing at? What's so funny?
You talking about a fight?
I mean, it's a little Twitter disagreement. No biggie.
It's just discourse. People don't understand how you can have a healthy discourse and disagreement on Twitter.
No, they don't. But let's talk about Klay Thompson very quickly. Okay. Well, let's talk about two things real quick. Klay Thompson quickly, but Dre, they kind of go hand in hand. So Draymond Green comes back after his suspension and basically says he doesn't regret choking out Rudy Gobert. This is the shit I'm talking about with him. This is the shit I'm talking about with him, right? And he just cares what the people, I don't know if he said around him or those close to him, what they think, right? So what the fuck was Jordan Poole then? Did you not care about what he thinks when you decided to hit him? This guy's a fucking joker.
He said something that
he's such a joker.
That made me think immediately of Jordan Poole. He said something like, "I'm gonna always have my teammates back" or something like that. I'm like, bruh, you literally punched your teammate in the face, bro. But
he's a joker.
Yeah.
And this is why I tell you the Rudy Gobert thing annoyed me, because that to me, although he was defending his teammates, I don't believe that. I think he used that as a reason for him to finally choke Rudy Gobert because he does not like that man. It's just all pretext.
Yes.
Because he wouldn't let him go.
Yeah.
And he dragged him across the court.
You can see Steve's yelling, "All right, let him go. Let him go." And Dre's like, no. Like, bro, you didn't even try to hide it, bro. You're literally gritting your teeth while you're doing this. Like, you are full veins in your arms.
And then he's like, they keep you can't hold me liable for something I did years ago. I've already, for lack of, like, I'm just rephrasing here, but like did his time for what he did. My ninja. Okay, I'm trying to my ninja. You cannot keep doing the same shit over. Like, this is not even new to you. It's not even exclusive to you. Matt Barnes, other players went through this. If you have a history, they're going to penalize you more. This is not even some like unique shit to you.
He's a sick man.
I'm trying to be better on the pod with the language.
He's a sick man. He said, he pretty much said, you can't keep. He's like, you keep bringing up the stuff that I've done in the past.
Yes, yes.
It's like, yes, for one, yes. Your rap sheet is ridiculous, bro.
There's a whole video out there of your shit.
Yeah, like, come on, bro. And then obviously, if you keep getting in trouble for similar acts, the punishment is going to get harsher and harsher, because clearly the punishments that they gave you before wasn't enough to discourage you from doing some more shit. So they have
and then you come back and say you don't regret choking.
Yeah. And then you compound it. After the Sabonis thing, you're yelling at Adam Silver in the crowd in Sacramento.
Which is why he really got suspended. It was that.
Got suspended.
That's what it was. It wasn't even, it was the yelling at the crowd, the going at them, the carrying on. That's what did it.
Yeah. You double down on these sketchy acts.
On everything. You even tried to double down on the Jordan hit and excuse it. This is why I was just like, when everyone's saying, oh, his apology sounded sincere, I was like, first of all, it didn't really sound that sincere, because he still tried to have little bits and pieces of like qualifiers in there. But then as time went on, they got worse and worse and like more.
Yeah. Until Jordan was gone. Then he was just pretty much like, I don't care no more.
Exactly.
He making jokes about the Wizards and all that type of stuff. Yeah. He's an interesting guy.
Okay.
Sure.
Ultimately,
at the end of the day, it can't be ignored the things that he does to get himself taken off the basketball court. And then
Particularly on games when Steph isn't playing.
yeah, I mean, in general, he just does things that are just completely unnecessary, and it hurts the team because the team is so much better when he's playing, and that's obvious. And it's like, bro, this year you're actually hitting your threes. You know what I mean? Like, he looks as good as he's looked probably in the last 2-3 seasons. Like, this season right now, he looks better than he looked last year. He looked better than he looked in 2022 because he was hurt, and he looked better than he looked in 2021 because he couldn't even make a layup in 2021. And but you haven't even played in the games, bro, because you keep doing this dumb shit. Like, yeah. So
Before today, he had missed 7 games.
7 games, missed 7 games, and got himself ejected from 2 more.
Guy's a fucking clown.
Like, and you got a tech, and then it immediately followed it up with a foul this game. So you took yourself out of a chunk of the fourth quarter, I believe. And as soon as he went to the bench, King just score.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Y'all not getting me to defend him anymore. And I think y'all are crazy who still defend him, to be quite honest. But I ain't defending him no more. It's like, it's not justifiable. To me, I know it's a marriage of necessity at this point. It is. But it's like, it sucks because it's just like, let's just say what the reality is. And like, yes, Draymond was at one time a very good player, and he still does very good things now, but his impact was so much more substantial. And so they overlooked and tolerated a lot of your shit because of that. It wasn't that it wasn't an annoyance before. It's just that the good you did outweighed it. And I don't know if you can really look at Dre right now and says his good outweighs it. Time will tell. But to me, I think it's debatable.
I think ultimately it does, but I think the antics have been ramped up. Like, I think back then he didn't get in trouble as much. You know, like, he would get in trouble. He got in trouble, obviously, in a very crucial moment in the finals. But like, in the last 2 years, he's punched Jordan Poole. He stepped on Sabonis's chest. He's choked Rudy Gobert out. He's gotten himself ejected probably more times.
I mean, he was kicking dudes in the nuts before. I mean,
yeah, but I mean, he didn't get like. Did he get kicked out for that? I mean, I think he got retroactively.
Well, because it kept happening, so eventually they levied additional flagrant against him, which resulted in him missing a game.
Yeah, his leash was longer back then. I don't think he was getting like kicked out left and right, all of these random little instances. I think now, for some reason, he's just ramped up his aggressiveness, his violent nature, recklessness. I don't even think he's really that violent. He's just,
I don't know. He just choked somebody. Like, I don't know.
He is. I don't really think he's like, I don't know what I'm trying to say.
Look, and I get it. I want to also be careful with like the descriptions we use, but I just feel like at this point, it's like, I don't feel he's owed that from us anymore. You know, like, you can go back and look at my tweets. Like, there's years of me defending his antics.
Mm-hmm.
I'm done. There's no more defense from me. If other people want to still do it, they can. I'm not defending it anymore. Because to me, he's displayed a pattern of behavior that shows to me it's not going to change. He is a bully. And yes, I say a bully because he only, like I said, the stuff with Ant Edwards the other day, like, yes, he talks shit, but he just has like a different kind of energy when it's like towards like smaller guys. And it doesn't matter that Ant's smaller than him because Ant is not going to care. But like when he got into the years ago, the fight with the student or whoever, that was a student. It was like a kid, like, you know what I'm saying? You hit Jordan Poole. It's like, you wasn't acting like that with Tristan, though. You weren't acting like that with Tristan Thompson. Whatever his name is.
It's Thompson.
There you go. He annoys me too because he's Jamaican and I wish he wasn't. But like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Canadian Jamaican.
I know, but it's still, you know. One day not that long ago he had some like curry he was cooking talking about my bro, it was all wrong. I was like, what are you talking about? Like, come on, man. Anyway, but yeah, so I just whatever. You're not getting defense from me at this point. I'm solely evaluating him on his play, and it's just like the moment you even start to do something good, then you do like some dumb shit later, and it's just like, oh, at the end of the day, the Warriors enabled this. They enabled it. So, and you know what? I feel like I may have mentioned this to you, but maybe I didn't. I'm not sure because I'm very careful about the things I say. Um, Not just like meaning like on this show, but in general, like I believe very strongly in the power of words. So it's one of the reasons I try not to say like things negatively and, you know, say the things that I want to happen. But I truly, in my heart, I think most people know this. I feel like the Warriors completely botched and mismanaged the Jordan Poole thing down to him leaving. And I think I've been pretty clear about that on the record from last year till when he left and even after he left, right? And so I'm just a big believer in I don't think you can do those things and I don't think you can treat people that way without it coming back to you. My hope was just always that it didn't come back in the form of like what happened on the court, right? Or something. And it may not, but I don't believe you can because I don't believe in that. I do believe like when you wrong someone, and I believe it was a wrong, and I know a lot of people don't agree, but I think when you do that, I think when you mistreat people in the way that you did, and then sort of like kick him on the way out the door, because there was a lot of like unnecessary commentary coming from like, the Warrior side of things, in my opinion. So again, I'm not trying to say that Jordan was perfect, but it's like at the end of the day, he helped you win a championship. He did.
Mhm.
And if you guys just reached your natural conclusion for whatever reason, that's fine. But to me, there didn't really need to be like bashing of him and like some of the comments that happened. So, you know, I'm starting to get a little nervous about this team. Again, it's not a talent. It's not a talent thing. It's just like you mentioned the volatility of Draymond Green,
Mhm.
and it seemed like they had, the way they were focusing and practicing so much during the summer and then the way they started off the season initially. And that was a question I asked Jonathan Kuminga, because he tried to say, no, we did have a good start. Yes, but by the time I asked you that question, Jonathan, you guys were at 500. So it just depends on what you measure the start from. Like, yes, if you're only looking at it from the very initial start through like the first 6 or 7 games, yes. But now there's been multiple games since then. I believe they're more like the team that started at the beginning of the season.
Mhm.
But when are you going to get back on track to being that team?
Right. That's a good question. I mean, this team ultimately, like we said, we ultimately believe that talent wise, they have enough on the roster to at least be competitive for something substantial. But it seems like it has to all go right for them to reach that path. And so far, so many things have gone wrong. I don't even think it has to all go right for them to win regular season games.
Right.
You just can't have
And a
meltdowns.
lot of it self-inflicted. A lot of it self-inflicted.
Pretty much all of it. Pretty much all of it. I mean, other than injuries, right? Draymond, self-inflicted. You've cost yourself 9 games. Klay and Wiggins have struggled relative to their standard up to this point. I wouldn't say that's all self-inflicted, but a lot of that is self-inflicted. And Steve Kerr, right? Like those are the big 3 right there. I think that's caused this season to go where it is, go where it's gone.
But at the end of the day, you know what? Steph deserves a lot of the blame too. And I say that because while he's their best player and everything goes as he goes, this is what he wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Steph always had the power to change things, and maybe some people feel like there wasn't anything else he could change to or, something. But My point is, and when I say change things, I don't just mean like, oh, get another player, but I mean the organization basically said, okay, Draymond, we're going to just deal with all your shit when you re-signed him, right? Because Steve Kerr gets on his podcast and what we need him and all this stuff, you know. And I'm not even suggesting that you don't need him, especially if you can't get another option. But look at what he's doing right now. He's hurting y'all. Like, at what point is there going to be accountability? And this brings me to my last point about Klay Thompson. So again, I just want to make it clear for the record, and Justin can confirm to you guys that like I've never ever suggested that Klay Thompson should come off the bench. Not on this podcast ever. I don't think he should. But I personally find Klay's inflexibility and his attitude about things to be problematic. And I understand like someone being like, what? I'm not coming off the bench and all that kind of stuff. I get that. I get that players have egos. I truly do. But it ultimately to me will at some point be a problem. Like there's no one he should come off the bench for right now. I agree with that. But there are times he doesn't have it going. There, to me, you can also test things, right? Like Jordan made, I guess, more of a thing about starting last year. So they tinkered with lineups to start him. And that meant Loon was the odd person out. But I feel like they can't even tinker and try certain looks or do certain things because of Klay's attitude. And that's not just like rumor. Like like it's behind the scenes too. Like he expressly is just like, you know, he just has this negative attitude about coming off the bench. And it's not like, you know, like even to bring him back from injury, it wasn't like something being proposed for him to be like a permanent, you know, but it's like to bring you back, work you back in. And it was like, no. And it's like, look, we tolerated and dealt with the chucking and the him wanting to get back. But it's less about me thinking he needs to come off the bench and just more about his inflexibility and his attitude. I think ultimately that's a problem. We'll see, but I think it is. And so that was the point I was trying to make to people. And I get like, you know, the exchange he had with Tim Kawakami, just to like bring this full circle for people, made like a lot of news, not just like on Twitter, but like, you know, a lot of people were talking about it. A lot of the big outlets picked it up. And like, I don't know Tim Kawakami personally. Like I've met him, but I'm not close to him. I don't have a relationship with him. But I can say for myself, part of the reason I was defending him is because I have literally like either tweeted something or said something and people try to tell me, I know what you were doing. You meant this when I literally did not mean something, you know? So it's really important that like you don't make assumptions about what somebody means. But Tim K has like argued with owners before and lots of people. I don't think he fears Klay Thompson. So like if he had something to say and ask, I believe that he would. Kerr talked about the fact that he is exhibiting patience with Wiggs and Klay. I think it's a totally normal thing to ask a player their thoughts on that. When a coach says something about their player, a lot of times the media later says, hey, your coach said this, your coach said that. What do you think about it? Right. And so that is a totally normal question. And to me, Klay's reaction, he was triggered. He was in his feelings. And I feel like he's probably sensitive because that conversation has been happening. Right. But because it's Tim Kawakami and people are like, oh, Tim is like this and he does these things and lots of players don't like him. Sure, lots of players may not like him, but that's irrelevant to like in this moment. Like Tim Kawakami is a regular Bay Area reporter. He always asks Klay questions. He's always around. He's been covering this team for years. Like Klay doesn't blow up. Like if Klay had such a dislike for him, you would have seen it before. It would have come out before, but we didn't see it before, you know? So again, I'm not saying that, I'm not trying to invalidate Klay's feelings. His feelings are what they are. But he was clearly triggered. And to me, he was triggered because he's probably in his head about people talking about him being benched and, not playing well. And maybe it's his contract situation. I don't know. So I don't want to speculate on it. But he was definitely triggered by that question, which is why he got the answer that he got. And so, again, I understand it. Some of it's justified, but I just have my eye on it. It's on my radar because I think his inflexibility is something to be concerned about. But I just got to say, I think people need to stop making assumptions about what Tim K meant and be like, Klay, knew what he was trying to do. Like, he literally put out a piece saying that Klay Thompson should start. And that's why he asked the question. Like, he wrote a piece later saying that it needs to be those starters. And he wanted to get something from Klay to include in that piece. So people are like, well, early in the season, he was saying Klay shouldn't start. Okay, but maybe his mind changed. Like, people's opinions change, But the piece that he published that day was about Klay still being a starter. So that's me sort of telling people, stop making assumptions because y'all don't know. But also, I do find Klay's attitude a little concerning. I know others don't. I know a lot of people are like, well, of course he is, and but I think it's something to watch out for.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, I think ultimately I would put myself in the box of people that isn't as concerned, only because I think I personally think there's no one on the roster that can replace what he does. So in an instance in which you're faced with the question of should Klay be playing right now, I think 99% of the time it's a yes. So I don't think him taking offense to not playing is going to be an issue because more times than not, he's going to play. But in an instance where there's a situation where there's a guy who is challenging him for that, and he's still like, nah, then I would say, okay, that's problematic. But I just don't think that, I don't believe that to be the case.
Yes, but it's very normal when people come back from injury to come off the bench. He didn't want to do that. I don't think that that's rational, but they accommodated it because it's him. Dre came back from injury, came off the bench. Steph has done it. What the fuck? Why is Klay Thompson too good for that? Why can't he come off the bench? I think that's problematic.
I mean, they won a championship that season, so I'm not really tripping off of it.
Yes, but they won a championship in large part because of what Jordan Poole helped them do during that season, while Klay was chucking and doing a lot of bullshit, which was part of the reason why it was like, come off the bench, ease back in, sort of a thing. It doesn't matter to me. I'm not someone who looks at the result and then says the process doesn't matter, because he's displaying the signs, and when someone displays the signs, it's going to come back and bite you later. And that's how I feel about Draymond. That's how I feel about Kerr. Like, everyone keeps saying things didn't matter because they were winning. But now, as their margin for error decreases, now as things are different, if they just keep up with the same behavior, because their process is always flawed. The thinking was always flawed. That's what I'm saying. So, to me, it's not about whether there's someone to replace him. It's about his unwillingness to be flexible. Like, Andre Iguodala was not the sixth best player on the team, but it was more beneficial for him to come off the bench. And whether Klay Thompson's a better player in his life than Andre Iguodala at that time, at that stage of his career, when he came to the team, I don't know that you could have argued that. But regardless, he was never the sixth best player on the team, but he was willing to come off the bench. And that's what I'm saying. To me, it's about a mindset. It's not even Chris Paul, even all that shit that he did. And then he ultimately acquiesced to coming off the bench. And he's a Hall of Fame, so that's what I'm talking about. It's not about whether there's someone better than him. It's about the mentality. And I think Klay is selfish. And I think he's shown us repeatedly that he's selfish. And when people say to me, he's always been like that. Look at what he said when KD was there. Yeah, but he was a much better player then. He was a different player at that time. When he's like, I'm not sacrificing shit. Okay, well, you were also in your prime. and also a much better player on both ends of the ball. So, you know, and I disagree with the notion that like there are times when Klay is stinking it up and not great. I get that the threat of him being on the court and that people will defend him can always be helpful. But like there's times when he's just been bad throughout the game. And to me, I think there's probably times they can like not go with Klay and close. And let's say you have Moody in. I'm not saying tonight was one of those nights, but he's had some really stinkers. Not many, not like consistently, but he's had some. And I think if another player is hot and there's other, you know, just like the other night when all the starters were stinking it up, and every time Kerr put them back in, they were not doing anything good. So he eventually went and closed with that group. Now, they didn't ultimately win the game, but part of the reason they were in that deficit was because of the starters, because they built a lead and then the starters came back in and blew it. And that's what I'm saying. It's like, it's not that I'm not saying don't trust your Hall of Fame players. That's not what I'm saying. But there are nights sometimes people just don't have it going. They just don't have it. And to me, it shouldn't be a big thing. Like Steph wasn't over there on the bench with his arms folded angry because Kerr opted to still close with those guys, is what I'm saying. And to me, it should be okay to say one night, Klay, you just don't have it. And we're going to close with this person. And it's not okay for them to do that. And it's largely because of his ego. It's not because anyone else is incapable of closing. It's because of his ego. They won't do it because of the of the way he will react to it. And I think that's a problem, but we'll see.
Yeah, I think we'll see. I think ultimately, it definitely has a potential to be something that's super problematic in the future. I just don't think they're in the position right now for it to be very problematic. But like you said, we'll see.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know how much future there's going to be. Like, like he wants to get this like certain kind of contract. Right now, his play has not earned him like the contract that he's looking for. What does he want? 4 years?
Probably. Yeah, that's.
I mean, that was never happening anyway. Like Dre only got 3, so you're not getting 4 years. But your contract hasn't earned you that with the Warriors or anyone else. So it's like you're supposed to be great in a contract year because you're trying to like get the contract. And he's been up and down, you know? Again, I'm not someone who's like been bashing Klay, but he's been up and down. And so I don't know how much longer that's going to be. I can tell you that Mike Dunleavy is not someone who feels any kind of attachment to these guys, any of them. So, and if they don't win and this experiment fails, I think people should expect a lot to change.
And they should change.
But that means like key guys. The only person who is safe is Steph, and that's it.
Yeah, I agree.
So like this nostalgia and this attachment and this like acting like they're perfect and can do no wrong. It's like, I don't know. I'm just not there with people.
Yeah, I feel you on that.
I remember Kevin Garnett and them leaving. And granted, he was going to another organization. But I remember when they left the Celtics in that big blockbuster trade and they went to the Nets. And this is Kevin Garnett. He's arguably one of the top 20 greatest players of all time.
Mm-hmm.
I'd probably have him higher, but I'm just saying, but like top 20, right? And they were like saying like, oh, the blockbuster. And he's like, we're just glorified role players at this point. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, I guess my point is like, some players gracefully accept that they're aging and they're at different points in their career and that they can do different things, you know? And I just don't feel like Klay to me is showing the signs of someone it's not going to age gracefully because of his mindset. It's not because I don't think he has skill to still do things on the court, but he still thinks he can do what he did as prime Klay. And
I don't know if that's the case.
Of course it's the case. You'll get here eventually. It's like, it is. It is the case. It's definitely the case. He thinks, and he wants to prove it, you know, and it's like.
I mean, the numbers don't support that, but.
The numbers don't support what?
That he still thinks he can do the things that he did in his prime. He's shooting less shots than he's ever shot in his career per possession. He's passing the ball a lot more, even though people You know, he'll have a play here and there where he takes a shot that's a little risky, but for the most part, he moves the ball. I don't think he's out there asking for the toughest assignments on defense anymore. I think he's just playing. He's a very prideful guy. He's just playing the only way he knows how to play. There's other things that he can add to his game at this point, but I think ultimately,
I think most of that is about him not trying to OD too much because of his contract. But even if that's true, it shows itself. It rears its head at ugly times. So it's like, yes, when you look at it as a whole, it's not. But what was the game the other day when he did like 2 or 3 ridiculous plays in a row and it really hurt?
It's OKC.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. It's like, yeah, like overall, if you just look at the numbers, that's not what it is. But there's moments in the game, key moments, things, and it rears its ugly head. And it's just like, Klay, why? You know? And to me, that's when it shows up. It's like it's not an overall thing. It's like at key moments, it's at critical moments. The same thing with Dre. It's like you could be doing things good, but then you had just this brief moment in the game that severely impacts it, right? Like I could take it away from basketball and talk about like football, right? Because like I'm always defending Jalen Hurts because people are like, oh, he has all these turnovers, but you know what? He makes the big plays in the most impactful moments when it matters, right? And like the mistakes don't happen at a point usually where it's costing his team, right? So Klay could play perfect all game, but then in this key moment when like they're down or it's tight or like something happens, he wants to be the hero. And that's the stuff I'm talking about. It's not that I think he's been chucking all the time or doing anything. And I've defended him. You know, I've talked about how intentional he's been about his shots, but that selfishness that exists within him, it's there and it rears its head at bad times. That's all.
Yeah, I feel you.
Anyway, this has been a long recording, largely because I haven't been here for a long time, but it is late and I've kept Justin up late. So, and we know Klay's his guy, so he's never going to say anything bad about him. I wasn't trying to change his mind either, but it is a little true.
I got him Klay the other night. I got him Klay the other night with Kareem right here.
I have my people like with Wiggs, you know, I will like, you were going a little hard on my guy. I haven't been here on those episodes, but you know, I will defend Wiggs, so I get it. But ultimately, I still believe in this team's ability, but right now, I put out my NBA top 10 earlier today. The Warriors are not in it. They haven't been on the last 2 weeks, and they won't be on it anytime soon until they really, you know, the Suns had a rough start. Oh, they were missing some of their guys, yes, but like Devin Booker's been on a heater, and they've seemed to turn things around, and they're winning, even though they don't have Bradley Beal back on the court. They're playing better basketball. You know, even the Lakers, I mean, yes, they just had a 44-point loss, but they seem to be like playing better. The Warriors right now, thankfully they had those early wins, but it's like they got to get it together, and they haven't shown the signs like, okay, let's string together a few wins in a row. Let's kind of get back on the winning track. You know, it's like, so right now I believe that they can win a championship. I'm not like the people who keep saying, oh, they can't contend. This is not a contender. I don't believe that, but I think they're not playing contending basketball right now. I think that they're not playing the right way. And
at least not for 48 minutes. They'll do it for like 24 minutes.
Right.
And just be a play-in level team for the other 24 minutes.
And there's still a lot of season left, but what is the point that we worry? Is it if they have to get to 20 wins before they get to, is it 20 wins?
Was it 20 wins before 10 losses? Well, they already had 10 losses.
Is it 20 wins before 10 losses?
Pretty sure.
Is that the rule?
Pretty sure that's what it is.
Well then, Justin, we may have a problem.
12-game winning streak coming up.
You still think that big win streak is coming?
Yeah, I think they'll have one. As long as Draymond doesn't get himself suspended for another few games in a row.
And then there's not just suspension. You don't want anyone to get injured, please, because you just had CP3 you expect. And yes, GP2's unfortunately you probably expect, but you know, it's the reason why you can't just throw away games, because injuries is something you can't predict.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I think, I mean, if it's not a streak, I'm sure it'll be like a win 6 out of 7 or something like that coming at some point. Like we said, there's this team. The ceiling of this team is a contending team. That's for sure. Like I said, they'll show it for a large portion of a game, and then they'll just kind of let go of the rope and just kind of melt down. Who knows how much they can actually limit that portion, that part of their team going forward. But if they do, they should be able to win a lot of games. Like, even they've lost 8 out of their last 11 games. They lost to Denver by 3. They just lost this game by 1. They lost.
This was a meltdown. That doesn't even tell the story of this game.
Yeah, they lost to OKC in OT when they should have won that game. They lost to Minnesota by 3. Like, so a lot of these games are just super close. And if they can put together a bigger portion of the game where they're playing, focused basketball and near their best, they should win a lot more of these games. And then the schedule is lightening up. Like, they get the Clippers 3 times over the next 6 games. Clippers, who knows which Clippers they're going to see.
Clippers I bet you they're gonna play well. I bet you.
For sure.
It's just what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
It's 40 wins before 20 losses.
40 wins before 20 losses. Okay. So they got to go 32-10.
Tonight was the 10th loss.
32-9, I mean. That'll be a hell of a run right there. If they do that, then.
So they have 11 losses right now.
No, they got 10. I'm just saying 32-9 would be like 40 wins before the 20th loss.
Oh, okay. I got you. You're so smart. Look at that. Just doing the math right there on the spot. So I keep you around, Justin. All right. Okay. Well. Okay. Anyway. Guys, that's it, I think. Appreciate you, Justin, and everybody. Y'all have had some fun episodes since I've been out. I appreciate you covering for me and everyone who stepped in. I missed y'all.
Well, we missed you here, obviously.
I didn't miss the Warriors and their nonsense, though. Like I didn't miss not having to talk about them recently, but I missed y'all.
That's what we did the other day. Like we needed a 3-day reset in the Warriors, like mental health reset. Look what the fuck they did. I'm sorry, not that word, but look what they did. Right back to the dumps.
Supposed to be better than last year, Justin, and right now it's not better than last year. It was
it was for a quick second. I'm pretty sure they were 8-10 last year.
Were they?
I'm pretty sure they were 8-10 last year. Then I think they got to like 10-10, and then it was like 10-11. Then it was just back and forth all the way to the end. Hopefully they turn that leaf, because I mean, like, they really did look like a dominant team early in this game, and they just completely let it go.
Which is similar to 2022, except that it just went on for a longer period of time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean specifically in this game, but yes, early in the season, yeah, for sure. And it was similar, like you said, 2022, Draymond goes down, and then they just start playing like 500 level basketball from that point on. So you got your guys. I mean, CP3 and GB2 are gonna be out for a little bit, but those aren't starters. Like, they're good players and you need them, but they aren't absolutely necessary for you to win or lose a game. So they need to start winning some effing games.
Well, maybe 8-10 and then 10-10. Well, look, that was our producer, the great Greg, checking things for us. Maybe this will give Moses Moody some more burn because Kerr was so quick to say, "Oh, I can't. Pods has basically made the rotation," but yet he won't give that kind of full-throated endorsement to Moody, which anyway, Pods is already out the rotation, or at least he was tonight. And which is fine, because it's like he still had some games or moments where he impacted it, but to me, he hasn't been as consistently good as like a Moody, because he's come in and had like some whatever. He has a couple of shots too that he keeps taking where for some reason he thinks like those are shots he should have taken and he should not take them. But that's a conversation for another day. But but he's had some moments. He's still hit some big shots. He's had like some impact moments. He's a really good rebounder. But I still think, and I get it, he's another ball handler, but I still think like Moses should be in the rotation before.
Definitely.
So maybe with GP2 out, that will give. I don't like that because I want GP2 there, of course, but maybe this will force Kerr's hands a little bit.
It has to. CP3 is going to be out too. Gary played 17. Moody played 13. Moody should probably be playing 25 until it looks like he shouldn't be playing 25 minutes. He should be playing 25 because when he's out there, he makes things happen. Whether it's making shots,
defensively too,
getting rebounds, creating extra possessions. He should just be playing 25 minutes a game. He's probably their top 8 best players.
I don't get the aversion.
I don't either. Dario has been pretty solid for most of the season, but you also have to understand that there are certain matchups
that are not for him.
That aren't Dario matchups.
No, Dario's a vet. Don't you understand? So that automatically means he should play. Like, this is how the man thinks. He doesn't think about it positionally or matchup wise. He's a vet. I trust him, and he's been good. Do you notice the matchups he's good in versus the other ones he struggles a little bit more in? Do you notice that?
Right. And then, the combinations. Like Dario, I think, could be, he had 10 points, pretty efficient tonight, 3 assists, 2 rebounds. But when you put him in position where he has to be the rim protector against a team like this, it's just a constant offensive pressure on you, always, always, always. They just put him in a pick and roll like every time he was on the court. And he just gave up every point that he scored, if not more. So, yeah, I'm done talking.
Steve Kerr, the coach you told me was good. All right. Actually, you've said better than good. I'm the one who said he's just good. But anyway, guys, thank you for tuning in with us. We appreciate you more than you know. I have to get on a flight soon to head back home. So I think I'm probably not going to sleep tonight because I think if I go to sleep now, I'm going to just sleep and miss my flight. So I'll go find some things to do and sleep on the plane. But when did the Warriors play again?
Gotta be in 2 days, right?
They have 2 days off?
No, it gotta be like
Thursday. Oh. Yeah. Is today Tuesday? I don't even know what day of the week it is. Okay.
Today is Tuesday.
Are they back home?
They are back home versus the Clippers. The Clippers, who knows? They were losing a bunch in a row. Then they started winning a few. Then they started losing, win.
Mm-hmm.
But the Clippers play tomorrow against the Kings.
So they're going to be on a back-to-back?
The Clippers are going to be on a back-to-back, and the Kings obviously will be playing a back-to-back tomorrow. So hopefully.
Watch the Kings lose tomorrow, which is good. We need every team ahead of us to lose, but it's just going to be annoying.
I think the Kings losing, I think the Clippers losing, winning that game would be better
for us. Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
We don't want them being even more hungry.
Right. The pressure for them to try to win the second game would be less, and then the Kings would get another loss.
Right.
Down closer to our level.
Right. Well, we will see. Oh, Clippers. Okay, it's home game. Oh, and then they have some away games.
Yeah, they play the Clippers back-to-back, one in Chase and the other one in, I don't even know what the name is.
So during the week of the tourney that they did not make, they will just have no games that week, or will there be games for them scheduled?
I think
that just don't apply to the tourney.
I think they just make up the games, with the teams who didn't make it. So which means
make them up where though?
What do you mean? Like where in the schedule do they make them up?
Yeah, like they don't put some of those teams to just have like non-tourney games during that week. It's only tourney games that are played during that week in December.
It's a good question. It's a good question. I'm not sure where they put the makeup games at on the schedule.
But Greg is saying regular games Wednesday. The schedule is out. So do the Warriors have a game the week of the 4th through the 8th, Greg?
They play Denver in Utah.
Oh, okay. So they play Wednesday.
Yeah.
So that's one game added back to their schedule. Oh, they play Wednesday against Portland. And that'll just be a regular season game. And when's the other game?
Play Denver.
Oh, Friday, December 8th against OKC. Okay, so they played the 6th and the 8th. Okay, so it's not bad.
Am I tripping right now? Okay.
Is it against, where are they in
Schedule?
Are they away games or home games? Okay, so they just play those games during the week, so it's not bad. Home. Okay, home games. So they're gonna have 2 home games next week. Oh, well, 1 home, 1 away.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's not so bad. So they'll have a few nights off. They'll play the Clippers on the 30th and the 2nd, and then they're gonna have 1, 2, 3 nights off again before playing on the Wednesday.
Yeah.
Okay, so that works out. That's what I was figuring out. I was like, they're probably just going to give people games during that week. You look like you're thinking or pondering or looking at something, Justin.
Hey, I'm looking at their schedule. I'm
Okay.
just trying to see how many wins they should look to get before Christmas.
Do you want to give that suggestion, prediction, or?
So they play 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I think they play like 10 games, 11 games before Christmas. Play the Clippers 3 times, try to go 2-1. They play Portland 3 times, beat them all 3 times, so that's 6-1. They play OKC and Phoenix in OKC and Phoenix, try to split that, so that's 7-2. Beat Brooklyn 8-2. Boston and Washington. I mean,
Boston comes to them though, right?
Boston comes to them, and Washington comes to them.
They should beat Washington regardless, and
Right.
they need to beat Boston at home to show that they can stick with a team. They got to beat one of these teams. We know that they can beat OKC. I'm not saying that OKC is easy, but we know they can beat OKC.
Yeah.
So to me, the wins against, like you said, Phoenix is one of them, right?
I said split either Phoenix and OKC, like
right. But Phoenix is one of those teams. They need to make up for the loss against Phoenix that they had already.
Yeah.
So
yeah, over those 12 games before Christmas, they played Denver. I think 8-4 should be absolute worst case scenario, but 10-2 is doable if they really turn it up and like start playing the basketball that we think they're capable of playing, which would then put them at 18-12, which is pretty good. But they should come out of that stretch. They should go into that Christmas game well above 500. Like if they aren't, get Mike on the phone.
Then it's time to have a conversation.
And it's time to have a conversation.
Okay. Well, there you have it. There you have it, guys. Extended analysis. All right. Hope y'all enjoyed this episode. Appreciate y'all. Until next time, which is Thursday. Just make sure you're following us on Instagram and Twitter at Golden Spaces Pod. Leave us a review, a 5-star rating, share with a friend. Also subscribe to 95.7 The Game's YouTube channel. And you can get up to the minute when our episodes drop. You'll be updated and informed that something new dropped on the channel. So until next time, guys, take care.